you can go to opensupplyhub.org. It's completely free for you to search, to share data, to download data. And I'll show you a few ways that you can search now and sort of what you can expect from the platform. So to start, if you know the name of a particular facility or production site that you want to look into, you can type it in here. Or if you already have OSIDs for your sites, you can type those OSIDs in as well. And so we can see that there's the facility pulls up there. We can see the name of this facility. We can see that universal ID for this facility. We can see a couple of sort of map views and thumbnails. Here's where it gets kind of fun. This is where you can see the work that our algorithm and data moderation team have done to match these different variations that exist for this facility's address. And same with the name. So you can imagine, yes, a lot of these, particularly in this case, are not terribly different, but depending on sort of the type of software that you're connecting or the data sets that you're connecting, you're at sort of high risk for creating duplicates if you have all of these different variations in different data sets. If we scroll down, you can see we have a very basic set of data points that we work with, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later. But the idea being that we're really trying to capture where is a production site and what are the basic operations there. And then most importantly, at the bottom of the page, we can see all of the organizations who are connected to this site in some way. And so again, whatever the intervention might be that you're trying to do at this site, you have a sense of some of the organizations that you might be able to work with or reach out to. So that's kind of at the particular facility level. Then let's say you've shared your data on Open Supply Hub. So let's say we're Amazon, for instance, and I'll pull up their list. They've shared over 2,000 production sites around the world. If you upload your data, it's really quick to come on and download your data set. You can do it into a CSV or Excel file. And that download will include all of those data points that we were just looking at, including all of the organizations who are connected to each of your suppliers. And then it's a very quick Excel manipulation to figure out who are you overlapping with the most, who are your sort of potential partners who you could work with. So that's kind of one tip if you're sharing your data on the tool. Then let's go a step further and say, okay, we're looking at multiple organizations, multiple supply chain data sets. So in this case, let's pull up John Lewis Partnership, who own Waitrose. And we'll start by just pulling up their data to illustrate 2,300 facilities. And let's say we're trying to figure out where they overlap with Marks and Spencer. Maybe we work at Waitrose and we want to work collaboratively with Marks and Spencer and figure out where supply chains overlap. So I'm going to start by searching both data sets. You can see 4,200 sites have been added between these two. And then I'm going to say, actually, I only want the sites that both of these contributors are connected to. So where do they overlap? And we can see that narrow to 198 results. For the sake of this webinar, we're focused on the food and beverage sector, so I'll filter the sector a little bit more and we'll get that down. Okay, we're at 109. Then maybe we're doing work focused on the UK. We narrow it further. Then maybe there's a particular area that we care about. We're doing a site visit, there's particular risk there, whatever it might be. You can draw that area and see the list continue to narrow. So now maybe if we're going into a meeting about collaboration between these two organizations, we have a list of sites that we can start with and start that conversation with. Similarly, we could do something like, and let's remove the UK as well. If you wanted to narrow it just to a particular region of the world, like already very zoomed out, you could draw that region, for instance. Anyway, I won't belabor that point. Then you can also see what we've looked at so far, a lot of sort of brand and retailer data. I think it's important to say as well that there are other types of organizations that are sharing data in our platform, and that was mentioned by some of our users as well. So you can see certification schemes here. You can see multi-stakeholder initiatives. There are some really fascinating data sets, the International Accord for Fire and Building Safety, for instance, sharing their data. So it's not just sort of brand and retailer data sets that you can overlap and compare. There are many others as well. A few other ways that you might want to search the tool, you can see some of the other data points that we have. If you're working in tea, for instance, you can search for tea as a product type, and you can see all of the sites that are connected to tea. I'll also quickly mention, when I pulled up the Marks and Spencer data, you can see that it says public list next to it. So that means that that's a publicly available data set that the Open Supply Hub team has found and added to the tool. We always encourage owners of that data to sort of take it over and keep it as up to date as possible. But there are so many rich public data sets out there that we want to be sure to be able to add those as well to ensure that you're getting the best data possible and as much sort of rich information about a landscape as possible. So for those who work in and are connected to palm oil, you can see a couple of the big public data sets that you're familiar with. They're already in the platform. Again, the spirit of this is not to replicate important work that's already happened, but to bring all of these different initiatives into one cross-commodity place. And then I saw a question about this in the Q&A, so I'll talk about it now in terms of how many tiers do we work with, how do we work with smallholder farms or farms in general. So I'll start by just showing if you are a company sharing multiple tiers of data, you have the ability to break out your data into different lists, and those lists can be divided up by tier, which many companies choose to do. So as you map deeper into your supply chain, you can add more tiers of data to the tool, as you can see here. We accept all tiers of the supply chain, so from farm level all the way up or down. And to talk about sort of smallholders in particular, the one limit to that is that because we're an open data set, we certainly do not want to publish people's sort of personal names and home addresses. And so that's data that we aren't currently accepting in the platform. There are many instances and sort of ways that different organizations are working around this with cooperatives or network nodes that can be used as identifiers in a public platform like this. So happy to talk that through with anyone who's sort of working on that data. And to the point that Shilpa was making when she's speaking, we want to build a data set together with all of our users that is going to serve you. And so as we work more with commodities and as deforestation regulation really takes hold, we want to be sure that we build a platform that serves everyone who's connected to supply chains and that we can share farm data that will help everyone without sort of sacrificing the rights of the data holders. So an invitation to speak with us about that if that's something that you are interested in.